Welcome, football fans, to another episode of IDP Plus Bets. That is right, folks. Look, I am your host, the Degen Docs, and we're here. Football is finally here. Thank you. We've waited all offseason for this moment. So, look, we very much appreciate the fact that we're here. Offseason was the offseason. We were pretending to care about things like the Olympics and baseball and all this different stuff. But hey, we're here. The NFL is today. NFL Kickoff is only 2 hours away. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to kick this thing off here with a little bit of a Thursday night football preview. That is right, folks. The way that this show is going to go down, because it is a new show, so let me do that first. Hey, we're talking props, offensive props specifically. Of course, healthcare professional. So I'm going to kind of be bringing in some injury stuff, pulling from there, seeing the game from a little bit of a different lens. But we'll go over this Thursday night game, and then we'll go ahead and knock out the best bets, the best player prop bets for the weekend. So let's go ahead and start with this Thursday night football game. And we have the Baltimore Ravens heading over to the Kansas City Chiefs. And this is a great matchup. I mean, this was the AFC Championship game last year. And right now, Baltimore Ravens are the underdogs, heading over to Kansas City as the road dogs, +3. They're about plus 130, plus 124 on the money line. And look, in order to look at this game, look forward to this season, let's take a quick peek back at what happened last season. So we saw, again, this is actually in Baltimore last year. You had Kansas City come in the playoffs, AFC Championship game, and they went and they took down the Ravens, the number 1 seed, 17-10. Now, one of the biggest takeaways from this game last season, if we look here, is this Baltimore rushing attack. Watching that game, on that game, I was on the Kansas City Chiefs, so I was happy this happened, but I have no idea what the offensive play calling was doing in Baltimore. I mean, if you look here, they averaged over 5 yards a rush. And when you talk about their 2 primary rushers in Gus Edwards and Lamar Jackson, both those guys were close to 7 yards a rush. The Kansas City Chiefs showed no ability to stop the run against the Baltimore Ravens. I think Baltimore really bailed them out by throwing the ball so much. I really could not understand why they got away from running the ball. I mean, if your starting running back only has 3 carries, how is that not a huge red flag? I think they tried to get cute and outsmart themselves, and you bring in the big offseason edition of King Henry, Derrick Henry, you add him to that backfield, and I really, really like what the Baltimore Ravens are going to do tonight. I think that I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. I'm going to take them on +3. I'm going to take Baltimore on the money line, plus 124, plus 130. I do expect some late money to come in on the Chiefs, so I will be waiting on that money line price, but I like the Ravens. I think they're going to win this game outright, and I definitely think they're going to cover the 3. And a lot of that's going to be that rushing game. I think they're going to learn from their mistakes from last season, and they're going to understand that in order to beat this Chiefs team, you're going to run the ball, you're going to control clock, and you're going to keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. That leads me into my next bet here. Patrick Mahomes under 269.5 passing yards at -110 here. This is one that I love. Everyone's going to be expecting the points. Everyone's going to be wanting a high shooting affair. It happens every NFL kickoff. Everyone's betting the over. Everyone thinks it's going to be the fireworks. But we saw this last season against, the Lions and the Chiefs team where it was slow starting, right? It didn't look the prettiest. Defenses typically start fast. And I think this Baltimore defense has a chance to be one of the best in the leagues. I mean, that's not a hot take. They were a great team last year, especially that secondary. I think that the Baltimore Ravens have one of the best secondaries in the NFL. I think they have lockdown corners, and I understand Arthur Milet at the nickelback position. He is on IR, but everybody else for that team is fully healthy. I love their defensive line, and I love their secondary. And I think Patrick Mahomes here, I think much like, last time they played, look, I know it's a playoff game, but he went under this number as well. 269.5, 270. That's a big number, right? That is, close to 300 yards for a starting quarterback. He's Patrick Mahomes. I get it, but he's going to be down. Hollywood Brown dealing with an SC joint dislocation. He's going to be out. Expect him around week 3, week 4 to return, but he's a little bit limited in that way. We saw how the Chiefs approached the offseason. Let's be honest. The regular season. Early in the regular season, the Chiefs can afford a couple losses. they don't mind going 10-7, 11-6, winning the AFC West, and then turning it off for the playoffs. So I don't think they need to be 100% locked in. And I think this is going to be a bit of an uglier game. I think it's going to be two pretty good, damn good defenses. And I think Baltimore is going to be able to run the ball, control clock, and Patrick Mahomes is not going to have as many opportunities. So give me the under 269.5 on Patrick Mahomes there. And then give me the other back. And the other back in this game is Justice Hill. Now, obviously, last season, we'll take that off the screen here because, hey, Justice Hill did not do a lot last game, admittedly. But he only got one carry, right? He didn't get a lot of touches. I think that as everyone's focused on, obviously, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, understandably, I think it's going to be a great backfield. But I think a key point of this Baltimore offense is making sure that you have at least another guy, right? So they kind of mixed in Gus Edwards and, whether it was Keaton Mitchell last year or Justice Hill last year. Keaton Mitchell's not there. He's on the pup. He's got a torn ACL. He's probably not going to be back until late in the season, if at all. He injured himself very late in December. So this is a situation where I think we're getting a steal of a price. Give me Justice Hill over 26.5 rush and receiving yards there. I think it's just entirely too low of a number. If we do pull this game script back up real quick, we saw he got there last season just through the receiving yards alone. So I like to have that little bit of cushion of not just relying on the rush game because, look, he had 3 carries for 3 yards. Obviously nothing there, but he had your 34 yards in the receiving game. So I think Justice Hill is a guy that Harbaugh likes. He's talked about him in the offseason, how much he likes this guy, how hard of a runner he is. And I think it's an angle where not a lot of people are on where, hey, everybody's going to be going after Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. I get it. Good reason. But don't forget, Justice Hill is not a bad ball player himself. So I really like taking this angle of Justice Hill over 26 and a half rush and receiving yards. All right, folks, that is how I see the Thursday night game going. A quick recap. Look, I think Baltimore is going to control the clock. I think they're going to be able to have success on the ground. And I think they're going to frustrate the Chiefs with that very, very good pass rush mixed with a wonderful secondary. I really, really like their safeties and their cornerbacks. I think they're able to frustrate the Chiefs. I think it's a low-scoring game. I think ultimately Baltimore does win the game there. They get a little bit of revenge because, let's be honest, Kansas City doesn't care that much about the regular season. They'll turn it on when it comes playoff time. All right, folks, that is the Thursday night preview. So before we head on over to my best prop bets of the weekend, when we're going to be talking Friday, Sunday, Monday games, let me tell you about Trophy Smack. That is right, folks. Look, Trophy Smack draft season has now come and gone. Hopefully you've already drafted your teams. You're not going up until the last minute there. But they've got trophies. They've got belts. Look, one of the reasons we play fantasy football is to be able to have bragging rights against our friends. Let's be honest. You want to make sure that it's not just you, getting some homemade crown or anything like this. If you go through the gauntlet of a fantasy football season and you come out on top, then you deserve a little credit. So head on over to Trophy Smack. They've got championship belts. They've got trophies. They got everything you could ask for. Hey, make your last place loser of the fantasy league pay for you to get a nice Trophy Smack belt. And we've got discounts, of course. So we're going to have that link in the show notes there. All right, folks. Man, I'm so excited for week 1. Let me get a quick halftime here. And now we are going into, we have the whole slate in front of us. These are my favorite prop bets for NFL week 1. Oh, man, it just feels so nice to be able to say that. And the first game we're going to be targeting, we're going to actually start and end with this game. We're going to head over to sunny Tampa Bay there, sunny Florida, and we're going to go down and we're going to target Mr. Terry McLaurin. Give me Terry McLaurin over 70.5 receiving yards at plus 135. Yes, of course, we love to see that plus around here, even though the books are trying to juice it out of us. So plus 70.5 plus 135. Let's just take a quick look at the Commanders depth chart here. You got Jaden Daniels, obviously bring him in as a rookie. How much can we expect there? But really it's the skill position players. You have Austin Eckler as kind of that RB2, but their wide receivers 2 and 3 are Olamide Zaccheaus. They are mixing in Luke McCaffrey and Noah Brown, who they literally just signed last week. They just brought Noah Brown in to kind of be their immediate wide receiver 2. there is not a lot of competition here for Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin is one of the most consistent wide receivers in the NFL. I mean, he's gone over 1,000 yards in his past 3 seasons. He's very available, playing all 17 games most of the years he's been in the league. And look, he's got the best quarterback he's ever played with. I mean, I think it's amazing that Terry McLaurin has been this consistent and productive in the NFL when, he's playing with guys like Taylor Heineke or Alex Smith when he came back after that brutal injury, right? Sam Howell in that disaster. I mean, he had a different quarterback, it seeming like every week. And now he's got the former Heisman winning quarterback in Jayden Daniels. Look, I know Jayden Daniels is a rookie. There's going to be some time to adjust. I'm not saying Jayden Daniels comes out and, he's the second coming of Patrick Mahomes or whoever you want to say. But this is the best quarterback that Terry McLaurin has ever had. And I like this Tampa Bay Bucs team, and we'll get to that a little bit later in the show. I like them in this game, but I do see this as a higher scoring game. I see this one of the higher scoring games of the entire slate. I think Washington's defense, one of the worst in the league, did not get any better. So I think this is going to be a little bit of a shootout, and I think Terry McLaurin is going to have plenty of chances. So give me Terry McLaurin over 70.5 receiving yards at plus 135. All right, next up, we are popping over to the Sunday night game, and we are heading over to Detroit, and we're talking about the sun god himself, Mr. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 100-plus receiving yards at plus 150. Look, Amon-Ra St. Brown is a guy who I can't get enough of. I gave him out earlier in the year offseason as far as I think he has a shot to lead the NFL in receiving yards. Still time to get that in. Plus 1,200, plus 1,100. I've seen it kind of bounce. He was third in receiving yards and tied for second in catches last season. I mean, the guy is just an alpha receiver. And it's another situation where let's look at what's around him, right? You got Jamison Williams, who is kind of a boomer bust type of guy there. They traded away Josh Reynolds. There's not a lot of competition there. You also have a quarterback who's playing in a dome who can deliver the ball behind what I think is one of the best offensive lines in football. I mean, that group is really, really stout. Penei Sewell had a little bit of an injury scare, but he's going to be 100%. He was just dealing with a minor ankle sprain. So you have a situation where Lions are coming in very, very healthy, and you're going up against a Rams team that is coming in very, very not healthy, right? They've got some concerns on the offensive line. They've got a tackle who's suspended and a guy who is very limited in coming off a high ankle sprain in Rob Hartenstein. And then when we turn to the defensive side of the ball, I mean, let's talk about the elephant in the room. There's no more Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald he's retired. He's out of the league, right? Let's not forget that. I mean, that's a huge component of who the Los Angeles Rams were. And obviously, Jalen Ramsey's gone to Miami. They just put who's expected to be the starting cornerback, Darius Williams, on the IR. And the guy who is behind him, who's going to have to step up in Kobe Durant, he is dealing with a hamstring injury and limited in practice. This is a situation where the Rams find themselves in a bit of trouble here. And when we look at their cornerbacks, you got Kobe Durant, who's banged up, and then you got Tre'Davious White, who's coming off both of an Achilles and an ACL tear in back-to-back years. Absolutely, when healthy, Tre'Davious White, one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL by far. I'm not arguing that. But when we're talking about a guy playing in his first game action off of, tore the Achilles, then he came back, had an ACL tear, right? This is his first game action off a significant injury. I think there is absolutely a chance that we see Amon-Ra St. Brown absolutely go off this week. I love Amon-Ra. Give me him 100-plus receiving yards at plus 150. All right, folks, we've got 3 more best bets to kind of round out this week 1. Obviously, any injury questions, anything like that, feel free to drop them in the chat. Tell me if you like a pick. If you hate a pick, we'll discuss it real quick. Let's go ahead and now head over to Hot Atlanta, where we're going to be targeting a Pittsburgh Steeler. And it is probably not a Pittsburgh Steeler you think. We're talking about wide receiver, who I see wide receiver number 2 in Van Jefferson. I'm going to take him over 19.5 receiving yards at minus 110. Now I know what you're thinking. What the hell are you thinking with taking Van Jefferson, right? Well, I get it. I've been on the whole Arthur Smith is now in Pittsburgh. They're definitely going to run the rock. Absolutely, I agree. But they got to throw the ball sometimes, right? They're coming in as 3.5-point underdogs. Whether they're going to be down or not in the game, we'll see. But that's going to tell you at some point in the game, they're going to need to pass the ball. I understand. George Pickens is the alpha wide receiver. He is a stud. But you know who also knows that? The Atlanta Falcons. There's a very good chance they're going to double team George Pickens, which is going to create opportunities for the other guys. And who are those other guys? Well, you've got Roman Wilson coming off a high ankle sprain, a rookie who missed most of camp and has been dealing with an injury, and he has missed those key reps. So, it's really hard to see that he's going to come in and immediately be a guy. And you got Calvin Austin, who's kind of more of a burner, more of kind of a gadget guy, really didn't stick last season. He's still looking for his role in that wide receiver 3 role. You've got Scotty Miller coming over from Tampa Bay, but really Van Jefferson has been kind of the proven commodity. Mike Tomlin has talked about how impressed he has been with Van Jefferson. I mean, we're only talking about 20 yards. We're talking about 20 yards for a wide receiver 2 in the NFL. I understand the Steelers are going to have a run-heavy approach, but I think this number is way mispriced. Like, really, it'd be hard for me to go against a wide receiver 2 on any team getting 20 yards, but you're also talking about a guy who has proven that he can be that wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 in the NFL. We're not expecting him to have a crazy game just to get a couple catches and get over 20 yards, especially if you do think that Atlanta's going to come out and put it on Pittsburgh here. I mean, obviously, they've got Kirk Cousins, they've got Bijan, they got Kyle Pitts, Drake London, whatever. So if you expect them to go out and put out some points, Steelers are going to have to throw the ball at some point. I think they double team George Pickens. That leaves opportunity for Van Jefferson to go ahead and pop over that number. All right. Now we're heading over to Las Vegas, I believe. Let me double check. Where is this game being played? Los Angeles, excuse me. We're going to head over to SoFi Stadium. And hey, I am backing a hard-nosed, defensive-minded coach here. And I'm backing Antonio Pierce. And I think Antonio Pierce, who he is living vicariously through on the field this year, is going to be Zamir White. Zamir White is Las Vegas's RB1. I don't care what anybody else tells you. He is the RB1. And when he was given the opportunity to be the RB1 after they moved on from Josh Jacobs, he produced, averaging almost 100 yards a game in the last 4 weeks. So I'm taking Zamir White 80-plus rush yards at plus 310. This is outrageous to me. I mean, he had 2 games where he went over 100 yards in the last 4 weeks. I don't understand how they're trying to give us almost 3-1 for him to now be the guy. And let's not forget who they're playing. The Los Angeles Chargers for the past 5 years have been one of the worst teams against the run. The last time Las Vegas played the Chargers, they put up 63 points. I don't understand this line at all. I'm thanking the books on this one. I love Zamir White here. I think he's going to get 25 touches. I mean, I think they're just going to pound the rock. They have a solid offensive line, and the Chargers did nothing to shore up that rush defense. It's been poor. They've shown me nothing that's going to change that. I love Zamir White to absolutely run all over the Chargers this week. Give me Zamir White, 80-plus rush yards at plus 310. And my final bet of the day, I said that I was going to start here and that I was going to end here, and it is Mr. Baker Mayfield, Mr. Shake and Bake. 300-plus pass yards at plus 350. I think Baker Mayfield has himself a day. We just talked about, I think that game's going to be a shootout. Washington Commanders going to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is running it back, but they actually, I think, improved their wide receiver 3 position with Jalen McMillan coming out of Washington. I think he's a very, very solid back. Baker Mayfield is getting comfortable in Tampa. He's coming off a career year. He in the last couple of weeks, he hit this over 300 yards 2 times, I think, in the last 6 weeks there. This is something Baker can do, especially when he's going up against one of the worst pass defenses in all of the NFL. Washington had an awful pass defense last season. They really didn't bring anybody in on the secondary. I think that Tampa Bay is going to absolutely feast, whether it's Mike Evans, whether it's Chris Godwin, whether it's Cade Otton, whether it's Rachaad White out of the backfield, or the rookie Jalen McMillan there. Obviously, I like all of them, but I think Baker Mayfield just absolutely comes out and makes a statement here. I do think that Washington will be able to put up some points with Terry McLaurin, and I think Jaden Daniels, that first game as a rookie, defenses aren't exactly knowing how to game plan for him, so I think he does get some opportunities there where he puts up some points. But I really like Baker Mayfield here. I think he has a really good shot to put up a decent stat line. I think the Bucs come out and try to prove something. you've had all offseason. All anyone's ever talked about was the Atlanta Falcons in this division, right? It's the bottom feeders of the Panthers and the Saints, and it's the Atlanta Falcons. They've won the offseason, and everyone's crowning them division champs. Tampa Bay's hearing that, and I think they come out. They have a veteran team that is running it back, a veteran team who won a game in the playoffs and won the division last year. It's a solid team, and I think Baker Mayfield is at home in Tampa, and he lights it up. All right, folks. We're going to do a quick wrap up, and then we're going to get on out of here. So going through my best bets for NFL Week 1, we've got Terry McLaurin over 70.5 receiving yards at plus 135. We've got Amon-Ra St. Brown, 100-plus receiving yards, plus 150. We've got Van Jefferson over 19.5 receiving yards at minus 110. We got Zamir White, 80-plus rush yards at plus 310. And then we got Baker Mayfield, 300-plus passing yards at plus 350. All right, folks, those are the NFL best bets. A quick note here. Look, I put out a series on this channel called Sports Betting 101. Everyone's excited to sports bet. I'm excited to get back into the game. Just remember, you cannot guarantee a profitable season off the first game, off the first week, but you can definitely put yourself in a massive hole week 1. So do not blow your whole bankroll on NFL Week 1. Make sure you go in, you have some bankroll management, and let's have some fun. Let's make some cash. Hey, I hope you enjoyed it. Every Thursday, I'm going to be going live. I'm going to be doing that initial Thursday night preview, and then we're going to transition over to my best prop bets for the week. So whether you're, I hope you're tailing. If you're fading, the only people I won't say good luck, but everybody, good luck on your NFL Week 1 bets. Football is back, baby. Hopefully you have a cold one and you enjoy the game tonight. Let's go Ravens. Let's go football. Let's go IDP Plus bets. From the doc, I am out of here.
Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.